Good day, everyone. Welcome to our discussion on Chapter 4, Curriculum Design. In this lesson, we will explore how a curriculum is carefully planned and structured to achieve educational goals. Dito natin malalaman kung paano pinipili ang mga content, activities at learning experiences na makakatulong sa paghubog ng kaalaman at kakayahan ng mga mag-aaral. By understanding curriculum design, we can appreciate the importance of aligning teaching strategies with learners' needs and society's demands. Tara, sabay-sabay nating tuklasin kung paano ginagawa ang isang makabuluhan at epektibong curriculum. This is the outline of the discussion. Number one, complexities of curriculum design. Number two, components of design. Number three, design dimensions considerations. Number four, representative of curriculum design. But we will shall proceed first with complexities of curriculum design. The challenges of curriculum design. Curriculum design involves selecting and organizing components that engage the brain and facilitate meaningful learning. Ngunit hindi ito katulad ng static designs gaya ng mga gusali sa architecture dahil ang curriculum ay dynamic, patuloy na nagbabago at umaayon sa pangangailangan ng mga mag-aaral. Learning and understanding are continuous processes that evolve over time. Kaya't mahalagang maunawaan natin ang mga hamon sa pagdisenyo ng curriculum upang mas maging epektibo ang ating pagtuturo at pagkatuto. Brain research and curriculum design. Brain research shows us how complex and amazing the human brain is, which makes it challenging to design a curriculum with predictable outcomes. Ibig sabihin, hindi madaling tukuyin kung paano eksaktong matuto ang bawat estudyante. Curriculum designers often face uncertainties, myths, and even partial truths about how learning really happens. Kaya naman mahalagang maunawaan natin kung paano magagamit ang natuklasan sa brain research upang magawa ng mas makabuluhan at epektibong curriculum para sa lahat ng mag-aaral. Let's talk about David Orr's myths about education. Myth number one. Education can eliminate ignorance. Maraming naniniwala na kapag educated ang isang tao, mawawala na ang kamangmangan. Pero sabi ni David Orr, hindi lahat ng matalino ay marunong sa tama. For example, may mga taong mas mataas na pinag-aralan pero ginagamit nilang kanilang kaalaman sa maling paraan, like creating technology that harms the environment. Education should not just fill the mind, but also shape the hearts and values. Myth number two. Education provides all the knowledge needed to manage society and the earth. This means akala natin sapat na ang formal education para ayusin ang mundo, pero hindi totoo. Learning should also include wisdom, empathy, and respect for nature. For instance, kahit may degree sa environmental science, kung walang malasakit sa kalikasan, walang tunay na pagbabago. Myth number three. A well-designed curriculum increases human goodness and wisdom. Kahit gaano kaganda ang curriculum kung hindi ito isinasabuhay ng mga guro at mag-aaral, wala rin. Curriculum is just a guide. Pero ang kabutihan at karunungan ay nagmumula sa application. For example, teaching about honesty in class is good, but it only matters when students practice honesty in real life, like not cheating during exams. Myth number four. The primary of education or the primary purpose of education is upward mobility and economic success. Marami na ang nag-aaral para lang yumaman o umaisenso sa trabaho. Pero sabi ni Orr, education is more than a ladder to success. It should help us become responsible, compassionate, and ethical citizens. Halimbawa, isang teacher na piniling magturo sa liblib na lugar para makatulong sa mga bata. Iyon ang tunay na layunin ng edukasyon, hindi lang pera o posisyon. Purpose of education. Many people debate what education is really for. Is it to create intelligence, eliminate ignorance, or develop wise and good individuals? In reality, schools often focus on teaching knowledge and skills because these are easier to measure through tests and grades. Pero sa totoo lang, education should go beyond memorization and performance. Dapat nitong linangin ang malalim na pag-iisip, pagkamalikhain at mabuting asal upang maging handa ang mga mag-aaral hindi lamang sa trabaho kundi sa tunay na buhay. Let's talk about 21st century curriculum needs. In this modern world, the curriculum should not only focus on employability or preparing students for existing jobs. Dapat itong bigyang diin ang scientific thinking, problem solving, at creativity upang maihanda ang mga mag-aaral sa mga trabaho at hamon ng hinaharap. Kahit sa mga propesyong hindi pa umiiral ngayon, education must continuously evolve to help students become innovative, adaptable, and lifelong learners in an ever-changing world. Okay, let's move on to Kiran Ergan's three big ideas in education. In socialization, education helps students become functioning members of society, but excessive focus on socialization may lead to indoctrination. In Plato's academic idea, education should focus on selecting and organizing knowledge to help students become literate and thinking individuals. Rousseau's development idea, curriculum design must consider the stages of individual development and the diverse ways in which people process knowledge. The 21st century curriculum focuses on developing learners who can think scientifically and creatively, not just those who can find a job. In other words, hindi sapat ngayon na ang edukasyon ay nagtuturo lang ng mga kasanayang makakapagpasok sa trabaho. Kailangan din nitong hubugin ng critical thinking, problem solving, innovation at adaptability, mga kakayahang magagamit ng mga bata sa hinaharap kahit na magbago ang mga trabaho o teknolohiya. Halimbawa, sa halip na magpaturo lang ng how to use Microsoft Word, ang mga bata ay tinuturuan kung paano gumawa ng sariling app o website para sa isang community project. Dito natututo silang mag-isip ng scientifically through coding, testing, and revising at creatively by designing and improving user experience. Sa ganitong paraan, ang edukasyon ay hindi lang naghahanda ng mga estudyante para sa trabaho, kundi para sa buhay sa hinaharap. Isang mundo na patuloy na nagbabago dahil sa teknolohiya at agham. We're done with the complexities of curriculum design. But before we shall proceed to the lesson 2, let's answer this. Please answer it in the comment section. How can educators design a curriculum that builds knowledge, creativity, values, and adaptability for the 21st century world? Curriculum design is a careful and complicated process na hindi lang basta-basta paggawa ng lesson plans o learning activities. It involves connecting different elements such as philosophy, society, and learning theories para makabuo ng makabuluhang edukasyon. Ang mga curriculum designer ay naapektuhan ng kanilang sariling paniniwala, political views, at cultural background na siyang nagiging basihan ng kanilang mga desisyon. Halimbawa, kung ang isang guro ay naniniwala sa progressivism, mas pipiliin niyang gumawa ng curriculum na nakatuon sa real-life experiences at problem-solving activities, gaya ng pagpapagawa sa mga estudyante ng community project para matutunan nila ang social responsibility habang ginagamit ang natutunan sa klase. To ensure a coherent curriculum, kailangan isaalang-alang ang mga dimensyon tulad ng philosophical and learning theories. Ibig sabihin, ang disenyo ng curriculum ay dapat nakaangkla sa mga paniniwala tungkol sa kung paano natututo ang mga mag-aaral at kung ano ang layunin ng edukasyon. Tulad ng sinabi ni Rick Ayers at William Ayers, Dapat pag-isipan ng mga curriculum designers ang mga mahalagang tanong tungkol sa pagkakakilanlan ng mag-aaral, ang kanilang papel sa lipunan, at kung paano nabubuo ang kaalaman. Halimbawa, kung naniniwala ang guro na natututo ang bata sa pamamagitan ng aktibong paglahok at karanasan, maaari niyang idisenyo ang curriculum na nakabatay sa experiential learning, gaya ng hands-on projects o community immersions na nag-uugnay sa teorya at totoong buhay. Number two is political, economic, social, and cultural influences. Essential questions about power dynamics, equity, and societal needs must be addressed. Curriculum design is never politically neutral. It is shaped by societal pressures and power structures, as evidenced by debates over curriculum content in the United States, such as the Texas Social Studies Curriculum Revision. Sources of curriculum design. The primary influences on curriculum are science, society, moral doctrine, and knowledge. Let's proceed with science. Emphasizes problem solving, cognitive psychology, and strategies for learning how to learn. Society stresses the socialization, function of schooling, responding to the needs of local, national, and global communities. Number the next one is moral doctrine. Draws on historical truth or religious spiritual guidance to inform content and pedagogy, though this influence is less prominent in public schools today. Next one is knowledge. Focuses on the structured transmission of disciplines with an ongoing challenge of balancing traditional academic knowledge with new fields of study. The learner as a source means na ang estudyante mismo ang pinagmumulan ng inspirasyon at direksyon ng curriculum. Ayon sa mga progressive at humanistic educators, dapat nasa sentro ng curriculum design ang mga mag-aaral dahil sila ang pangunahing layunin ng edukasyon. With the help of brain research and cognitive psychology, mas naunawaan na ngayon kung paano nagpoproseso ng impormasyon ang mga bata, kung paano sila natututo, nag-iisip at nag-a-apply ng kaalaman. Halimbawa, kung natuklasan ng mas natuto ang mga estudyante kapag may hands-on activities, maaring idisenyo ng guro ang mga aralin sa para ang experiential tulad ng science experiments o collaborative projects na nagbibigay daan sa kanila na matuto sa pamamagitan ng actual na karanasan. Horizontal and vertical organization. In horizontal organization integrates different subjects or topics across a curriculum, creating interdisciplinary connections. Example, combining history, sociology, and anthropology. How about for the vertical organization? Sequences topics in logical progression, ensuring that students revisit and deepen their understanding of key concepts over time. Example, introducing basic math concepts in lower grades and building complexity in higher grades. Number six is curriculum design making. While curriculum design is theoretically critical in practice, it often receives insufficient attention in schools where textbooks committee may have greater influence over curriculum choices than educators. Effective curriculum designers must navigate both personal and societal influences to create a balanced and responsive educational framework. Another questions for components of design. Why is it important to consider the components of curriculum design and how can you relate this to your personal experience? Let's talk about the design dimension considerations. The design dimensions of a curriculum are essential for ensuring a comprehensive and cohesive learning experience for students. These dimensions include scope, sequence, continuity, integration, articulation, and balance. Each of these considerations addresses a different aspects of how curriculum components are organized and delivered, leading to a more effective educational plan. Number one is scope. The scope defines the breadth and depth of the curriculum content. It involves designing what topics, knowledge, and experiences will be included, and how deeply they will be explored. Ralph Tyler defined it is the range of content, learning experiences, and organizing principles that make up the curriculum. The scope can include cognitive, affective, psychomotor, and sometimes spiritual domains. Designing the curriculum scope becomes particularly challenging in an age of rapid knowledge growth and diverse student needs. The second one is sequence. Curriculum sequence ensures that content is delivered in a way that builds on prior knowledge and experiences. Sequence decisions often draw on developmental psychology principles such as Piaget's stages of cognitive development or on the logic of the subject matter. Additionally, principles like simple to complex learning, prerequisite knowledge, whole to part learning, and chronological organization help determine the optimal flow of the curriculum. The third one is continuity. Continuity refers to the repetition and reinforcement of key curriculum elements over time. This vertical design dimension ensures that important skills and concepts recur throughout a student's education, allowing them to deepen their understanding. For example, becoming proficient in reading or scientific experimentation requires repeated practice over time. The next one is integration. Integration emphasizes the horizontal connection of curriculum components, allowing students to see knowledge as interconnected rather than fragmented. It promotes interdisciplinary learning where concepts from various domains, example, science, math, social studies, are linked to real-life themes. Advocates of integration argue for curricula organized around societal issues or global concerns rather than compartmentalized subjects. Articulation. Articulation involves the vertical and horizontal alignment of curriculum components. Vertically, articulation ensures that concepts and skills build progressively from one grade level to the next. Horizontally, articulation connects learning across different subjects or courses at the same grade level. Achieving both vertical and horizontal articulation is challenging, especially when ensuring continuity between different schools or districts. Last design dimension consideration is balance. A balanced curriculum provides equal emphasis on various aspects of learning. It ensures that students are exposed to a wide range of knowledge, skills, and experiences, allowing them to develop holistically. Maintaining balance requires continual adjustments and a thoughtful consideration of both learning goals and educational philosophies. Okay, this is the third question for this lesson, for this chapter rather. Why is it important for pre-service teachers like you to understand the design dimensions of a curriculum such as scope, sequence, continuity, integration, articulation, and balance? And how can this be applied in planning and delivering effective classroom instruction? Let us now proceed with number four, representative of curriculum design. The representative of curriculum design includes subject-centered designs, learner-centered designs, and problem-centered designs. Under subject-centered designs, we have subject design, discipline design, broad fields design, correlation design, and process designs. Learner-centered designs. We have child-centered design, experience-centered design, romantic design, and humanistic design. Problem-centered designs, life situation design, reconstructionist design. Subject-centered designs are the most widely used and popular curriculum structure, focusing on knowledge and academic content as the core of education. This approach is influenced by academic rationalism, meaning the content is systematically organized into separate disciplines like history or chemistry. The primary goal is for students to master a specific, predefined body of facts, theories, and skills within a subject. Consequently, it's often used in secondary and higher education where textbooks dictate the content sequence. For example, a high school curriculum is subject centered when it is required or when it requires all students to take and pass specific courses like algebra 2 or and world literature. Like what I've said earlier, the subject-centered design. So the focus is emphasizes knowledge development within specific subject areas, reflecting traditional academic disciplines. The features is organized by distinct subject fields such as math, history, English, easy to implement with standardized materials and textbooks. For the content, structured around essential knowledge in subject areas, example, literacy, sciences, foreign languages, divisions within subjects, history, cultural, economic, geographic, English, literature, and grammar. For the strength, offers structured essential knowledge for societal socialization. Weaknesses, lacks personalization, limiting students' choice of meaningful content, stress memorization, and compartmentalization over holistic development. How about for Broadfield's design? The focus is it's a combination or combines multiple related disciplines to provide a sweeping understanding of content areas, fosters connections among various subjects to reduce fragmentation. For the features, merges subjects like geography, economics, political science, and sociology into social studies, biology, chemistry, and physics into general science, content, English, foreign languages, and mathematics. Strength provides a comprehensive view by integrating multiple disciplines, encourages student participation in constructing and reconstructing knowledge. For the weaknesses, difficulty in achieving deep understanding within integrated themes requires careful planning to maintain meaningful connections. Correlation design. For the focus, establishes connections between separate subjects to avoid curricular fragmentation. Relate subjects while keeping their distinct identities intact. Features uses overarching themes or problems to link different subjects. Requires teachers from different disciplines to work together. Content English literature and history, language arts and social studies, and science. Strength makes learning more applicable by connecting subjects to real life contexts, promotes critical thinking and problem solving across disciplines. Weaknesses require significant collaboration and planning among teachers. Traditional schedules may not support block scheduling needed for effective correlation. Next is process design. For the focus, emphasizes the ways learners acquire, analyze, and apply knowledge. Focus on how students construct meaning and knowledge across disciplines. Features focus on intellectual behavior, inquiry, and understanding processes rather than just subject matter. Content applicable across disciplines such as critical thinking, scientific inquiry, and intellectual processes. What's the strength? Encourages students to explore questions and construct knowledge independently, engages students in analyzing their own learning processes and frameworks. Weaknesses some students may find it difficult to grasp the abstract nature of analyzing their own processes. Let us now proceed with learner centered designs. Learner centered designs focuses on the students as the center of the curriculum, emphasize the whole child and personal development, especially at the elementary and preschool levels, encourages play and exploration as essential learning methods. Teachers provide opportunities, but students craft their own experiences, inspired by Rousseau's development ideas and the philosophy of socialization. Less common in secondary education, but some instances of application exist. Let's proceed with number one, which is child-centered design. Focus, learning as an outgrowth of personal experience, actively involving students in constructing their own knowledge. Features, curriculum is flexible and evolves based on student input. Knowledge is integrated around experience rather than strict subject boundaries. Content, teachers and students collaboratively plan units, activities, and content based on students' interests. Curriculum integrated around units of experience or social problems. Strength connects learning to students' lives and interests, allows for continuous modification based on student needs. The weakness is can result in insufficient academic rigor and content depth, requires high levels of teacher adaptability and planning. Experience-centered design. Focus. Emphasis on the process of inquiry and activity-based learning rather than structured content delivery. For the features, learning is shaped by the student's personal world of experiences. Learning is natural and comes from spontaneous activities. Content, curriculum is not pre-planned or rigid but arises on the spot based on children's interests. For the strength, students actively participate in their own learning, tailors of education to each student's unique experiences. Weaknesses, the lack of a pre-planned curriculum can make it hard to standardize and measure progress, may overlook the structured academic content necessary for a well-rounded education. Next, we shall have Romanic radical design. For the focus, focuses on liberating students from societal oppression and power structures. Critical reflection on inequalities in society and education. Features, students are encouraged to question existing power dynamics, social norms, and knowledge structures. Content, curricula address social and economic inequality and challenge unjust systems. Learning is about self-awareness and critically reflecting on societal structures or societal constructs imposed by those in power. The strength encourages autonomy, self-awareness, and action against oppression, focuses on equity and transformation of the educational system and society. Weakness may risk losing focus on academic content and structured learning in favor of broader societal goals. Humanistic design. Focus. Curriculum should focus on developing the whole person, including emotional, cognitive, social, and spiritual dimensions. Features. Integrates the cognitive thinking, affective feeling, and psychomotor doing domains. Focuses on feelings, values, and personal growth. Content emphasizes the relevance of subject matter to students' lives, emotions, and experiences, encourages creativity, spirituality, and moral development. Strength balances intellectual growth with emotional and social development. Weaknesses, the focus on self-actualization and emotional growth can be difficult to measure in traditional educational systems. Let us now proceed with the problem-centered designs. Let us now proceed with problem-centered designs. Centers around real-life problems of individuals and society. Aims to address social issues and unmet needs of the community. Combines focus on content and learner development. Problems are pre-planned but adjusted based on students' concerns. Content often extends beyond subject boundaries. Variations include focusing on persistent life, situations, contemporary social problems, or reconstructing society. Balances social needs and individual needs. Let us now proceed with life situations design. Under problem-centered design, the focus is organizes the curriculum around real life situations and persistent societal issues. Relevance to society is the key focus, encouraging students to address problems they encounter in daily life. Features integrate subjects rather than teaching them separately, starts with students' existing concerns and society's pressing problems as the basis of learning. Content, draws from traditional content but organizes it around societal and community issues, encourages students to apply knowledge to improve their communities and address social issues. The strength, students see the practical application of their learning, encourages critical thinking and problem solving skills in real world context. The weakness is it's hard to predict which life situations will be relevant in the future. For the last, reconstructionist design. The focus, curriculum should foster social action, aim to reconstructing society, focuses on addressing societal, political, and economic issues to create a more equitable society. The features encourages students to engage with local, national, and global issues, advocates for active participation in creating a new social order. Content, curriculum should promote social justice and be responsive to societal problems. Strength, promotes awareness of social issues and encourages active citizenship. Overemphasis on social issues can sometimes overlook academic content. Here is the comprehensive question. Think about a time you had really effective or memorable learning experience in school. Did the teacher focus mainly on covering specific topics and textbook like a subject-centered design, tailoring the lesson to your personal interest and style like a learner-centered design, or tackling a real-world issue or practical problem like a problem-centered design? Which of these three approaches do you feel is the most practical way to prepare students for life after graduation, and why?